A lot of people ask us what size frame they need for their stitching. So I wanted to talk about rotating frames, what size you need, what kinds there are, and how to mount your work into them. So the first thing that you need to know when you're thinking about frames is the size of your fabric. That's the crucial thing. If you're working from a kit, you'll have the fabric there in front of you. You can measure that, and from that measurement, we can work out what size frame you need. If you're just working from a chart and you don't have the fabric, you have to buy that separately, then you need to look at the design size. That will be stated on the chart. If you add 6 inches to the design size, both measurements, that will give you a 3-inch border all around your work, which will then be adequate for framing it. So then you've got the size of your fabric. So I have got my fabric size. This is 8 by 8 inches. So I know that I need a frame size that's larger than 8 inches across the width. That's the important measurement, is the width. So I would need a size 9-inch frame or larger for this piece of fabric. Here's a 9-inch frame, and there we can see my fabric is going to fit into it. Now, it doesn't matter what the height measurement is on your frame particularly, because you can see my fabric's bigger than this height, but that's fine because it's a rotating frame and I can scroll my work through. The important thing is the width, and the width has to be bigger than the width of your fabric. So if you had a 20-inch piece of fabric, you would need a 21-inch frame or perhaps a 24-inch frame, so that you've just got space for your fabric in the frame. So that's how you work out the size of the frame you need from the fabric size. Let's talk now about different kinds of frames and how to mount them. So we have 2 different kinds of frames. We have an easy clip frame and a sew-in frame. I'm going to talk about the easy clip frame first. So once you've put it together and you've tightened up your wing nuts and you've got it all set up and ready to go, you can mount your fabric into it. So the first thing you need to do with your fabric is make sure that you know where the centre of the fabric is. So to do that, you just fold the fabric up, give it a good pinch, and then unfold it, and you'll have that centre point clearly visible on the fabric. You could, if you wanted to, run a line of tacking stitches in a contrasting colour, something nice and bright. I don't tend to do that. I tend to find that the creasing method, I can see where the centre is just fine, but I know some people do like to do that. So once you've got the centre marked, you can get it into the frame. Now, as you look at your frame, when you've got the wing nuts here, these are going to be on the back of the frame as you work. So you want to make sure that you're mounting your fabric so that it's going to be on the front of your frame and not on the back. So let's just turn it over like that. So we know our fabric's going to be on the front, and then adjust these round so that the groove is facing you. Now get your fabric reasonably centrally in the frame and put it up to the edge of that groove. And get your easy clips, here they are, and you can see these, that they have a little lip on them here, and that lip is going to sit down into this groove. So make sure you've got the lip side down and clip it on. Make sure it's nice and firmly clipped on. And you're just going to repeat that 3 across the top, and then the same 3 across the bottom. Now you might want to tension your fabric on this side, roll it around so that the edge is more neatly lined up there on that side, and then just do exactly the same. Now we sell these clips in packs of 4, so if you need more clips you can buy some more, and then we turn that round, we tension our fabric in the frame, ready to stitch. So that's the easy clip. These come from 9 inches, which is the one I've got here, up to 30 inches. This one here is a 15-inch frame, so that's 15 inches across that width, and this is actually 12 inches across the height. But as I said, you know, if your fabric's bigger than that on the height, you can just roll it, scroll your work through the frame as you're working. The other kind of frame we have is the sew-in frame, and I'll just show you that quickly. It's pretty much the same principle as the easy clip, apart from, instead of the clips attached to the frame, you have this piece of webbing tape. And all you're going to do is just tack your fabric to that webbing tape along that line, top and at the bottom, And then that's securely fastened to the frame, and then again you just turn the frame to tension the fabric. And it's held in place with your tacking stitches along the top. So why would you use one over the other? I mean, really that's down to personal preference. Although the easy clip frames only go up to 30 inches on the width, and the sew-in frames go up to 39 inches. So if you're working on a very large piece, you'll need a sew-in frame, just purely because they don't make the easy clip ones any bigger than 30 inches. And then another important thing is if you're working on a tapestry canvas, that can be very thick, bulky, and the clips on the easy clip really just don't hold that so well. So we would recommend that if you're sewing with a tapestry canvas to use a sew-in frame as well.